Every month, there's a whole lot of great new games for iOS and Android. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, here's the 10 best new iOS and Android games of April 2017. Just as a quick disclaimer, this is our paid list for the month, featuring premium and paid games. We also do a free one that will come out within the next few days. Number 10 is Pengy Has a Dream, which is kind of an endless runner, slider, arcadey type platform game, and it's a whole lot of fun on top of being very pretty. The object is to pave the way for your penguin with ice, keep you up in the air as much as you can, and it's one of those simple ideas that is executed very, very well, and if you give some time, I think you'll enjoy quite a bit. Number 9 is Quantum Revenge, which is a game that kind of looks to recreate the sort of mecha anime feel. You can sense the influence from all the various Gundam, MGE, and the like. It does a great job of giving you a dual stick shooter that keeps you guessing on the environment enough to glue you to the environment and keep you interested, with various different changing perspectives that keep the levels very interesting. If you're a fan of the mecha aesthetic, you're definitely going to enjoy it, and as far as a top-down bullet hell space shooter, it's definitely going to scratch that itch. It's quite a good game that is going to keep you busy for quite a while, with a developer that is continually releasing updates that have improved the game as well. Number 8 is Meganoid, a game that takes some of the sensibilities from Spelunky and incorporates it into more of a randomly generated, kinda Metroid, kinda cutesy, very well designed game that, like I said, does procedurally generate its levels, however, somehow manages to make them feel as though they're fully designed by a human. The lighting is amazing in this game, and it looks like maybe a bit more hefty of a game than you might even expect. Now, it is a reboot of an old series, Meganoid, which had a sequel as well, were both originally developed by the same developer a few years ago, but actually bear very little in common with this game. This game is a premium title and is more than worth your time. Number 7 is Star Cat Adventure, which has a cat that looks very weird in a psychedelic sort of doodle-esque background, however much more detailed and stylized. Presents you with a slingshot mechanic and a bunch of different physics-based obstacles to overcome. It takes generally a mechanic that's kind of Angry Birds-esque, but applies a lot of platforming concepts to it that I think works out really well. It's colorful, it's pretty, it's enjoyable, and if you're like me, it might remind you of old Sega games a bit, at least in look. Number 6 is Yōdanji the Roguelike, which is exactly what it claims to be, a traditional roguelike. It has very cute, very simplified pixel art graphics. I'm talking about old school, no frills, rudimentary pixel art graphics. It's intentional, it looks good, it reminds you of the good old days, but it gives you a very huge variety of scenarios and characters to end up getting into. It's based around a mechanic of summoning and trapping yokai, which is basically the equivalent of a monster, and is based in Japanese folklore. It is a traditional roguelike and the type of game that if you like that, you will like. I enjoyed it very much myself. Number 5 is Invert, a tile-flipping puzzle game, which I would say the easiest way to describe is calling it a 2D Rubik's Cube. Now, the grid is bigger than the 3x3, but you essentially get the mechanics entirely if that's the case. The game's pretty, it's hard, it's creative, it's basically everything you would want out of this type of a game, and at $3 it definitely comes in as worth the time and money. The levels are all handcrafted, not procedurally generated, and it shows because they definitely feel as though humans made them. It's a great game. Number 4 is Tempest, a pirate action RPG that puts you in control of a ship, wandering around an open world, and action RPGing up, frankly, a very detailed world. This game makes a few very interesting choices, such as not including a tutorial, just tossing you in at the deep end and saying, hey, figure it out, alright? Thanks. It's a tough one, but once you've figured out what you're doing, it's a great game, frankly, a really great game. It's different in a way that I think a lot of people kind of want. It's a different setting, a different mechanic, and really comes together to a good game. Number 3 is the Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale Games series, which is just debuted on Android and iOS as well. If you've ever played a Telltale Games version of a property that you like, you kind of know what you're getting, and Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't disappoint. It opts for a slightly more detailed version of the Telltale graphics that we're used to, and I think it pays off because Guardians of the Galaxy sort of lends itself to a more colorful, slightly more realistic, but still interestingly proportioned look. The story's still obviously quite early, it's episode 1, so we don't know exactly where we're going with it, but like I said, it's a good property. Telltale is pretty proven at this point, and I'm interested to see where it goes. Number 2 is Planescape Torment, which is kind of one of the granddaddy of all the CRPGs, computer RPGs, the isometric forerunners to the open world RPGs that we all love today. This version also comes with remastered music, which obviously is a great thing because the soundtrack is very, well, let's just say necessary to the aesthetic of the game. It also includes some modern features like zooming, tab highlighting, and just things that make it feel a little bit less dated despite giving you the full experience. And there's really no way I could sit here and say, yeah, it's not worth buying this game. It's $10, it's a classic, and everyone should play it if they like any kind of RPG. And finally, number 1 is Lumino City, which is not an entirely new game. It came out on iOS a number of years ago. However, this puzzle adventure that is one of the coolest looking puzzle adventures of all time bears mention that it is finally on Android as well, and that any adventure game fan or puzzle game fan or fans of the combination of the two have to give a shot, if even only just for how they made it. The world of the game was constructed as a real model, and because of the way it's put together, it has just a, for lack of a better word, devastatingly unique look. I loved this game when it came out a couple years ago, and everybody who hasn't had the chance should definitely play this game. What was your favorite iOS or Android release of April 2017? Let us know in the comments, and if you like this video, please click like. If you're not subscribed, now would be a great time to do so on account we upload brand new videos every single day of the week, and the best way to see them first is of course a subscription. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.